Look, VOO is a great ETF. It tracks the S&P 500. It's cheap, and it's made a lot of people wealthy over the years. But here's the thing. Most investors don't know that Fidelity has 3 ETFs that have absolutely crushed VOO's performance, and they cost almost nothing in fees. I'm talking about one ETF that returned over 751% in the last 10 years. Another that pays you a 3% dividend yield while still growing your money at 15.8% annually. And a third that only dropped 5.88% during the brutal 2022 market crash, when the S&P 500 fell 18%. The best part? You can combine all three to build a complete portfolio that covers growth, income and protection, no matter what age you are or where you're at in your investing journey. In this video, I'm breaking down all 3 Fidelity ETFs with real numbers, simple math, and showing you exactly how much money a $10,000 investment would have made you. I'll also give you age-based allocation strategies, so you know exactly how to use these ETFs based on whether you're 25, 45, or 65. If you're tired of settling for average returns and you want to see what's actually possible when you look beyond the basics, stick around. Let's get into it. ETF number 1, FTEC, the growth dominator. Let's start with the powerhouse. FTEC is the Fidelity MSCI, Information Technology Index ETF, and it's been absolutely crushing it. Over the last 10 years, this ETF delivered a 22.35% annualized return. That's not a typo. While VOO was doing solid work at around 14% annually, FTEC was nearly doubling that performance. Here's what that means in real dollars. If you invested $10,000 in FTEC 10 years ago, you'd be sitting on approximately $85,000 today. That's a total return of over 751%. Your money grew more than 7 times over in a single decade. And you know what makes this even better? The expense ratio is only 0.08%. For every $10,000 you invest, you're paying just $8 per year in fees. That's incredibly cheap for the kind of performance you're getting. FTEC tracks the technology sector, which means you're getting exposure to the companies driving innovation in America. We're talking Apple, Microsoft, Nvidia, and over 300 other tech companies. These are the businesses building the AI revolution, cloud computing, semiconductors, and everything else pushing the economy forward. Now, is tech volatile? Yes. During bear markets, technology stocks typically experience sharper declines than the broader market. But if you're young and you've got decades ahead of you, that volatility is your friend because it creates massive long-term growth. This is the growth engine of your portfolio. ETF number 2, FDVV. The high dividend machine. Here's where things get interesting for anyone who wants to get paid while their money grows. FDVV is the Fidelity High Dividend ETF, and it does something most growth investors completely overlook. It pays you quarterly dividends while still delivering strong capital appreciation. FDVV currently has a dividend yield of 3.02%. That means if you invest $10,000, you're collecting around $300 per year in dividend income, paid out every 3 months. But here's the kicker. This isn't some slow, boring dividend fund. Over the past 5 years, FDVV has delivered a 15.8% annualized return. Let's do the math. A $10,000 investment in FDVV 5 years ago would be worth approximately $20,480 today. That's your money doubling in 5 years, plus you collected dividend payments every single quarter along the way. The expense ratio is 0.15%, which is still incredibly low. You're paying $15 per year for every $10,000 invested. That's totally reasonable for an actively selected dividend fund that focuses on companies expected to continue growing their dividends over time. FDVV invests in large and mid-cap companies that pay high dividends and have a history of growing those dividends consistently. These are established, profitable companies that share their earnings with shareholders. It's the perfect middle ground between growth and income. If you're in your 40s or 50s and you're starting to think about generating income from your investments without selling shares, FDVV is a game changer. You get growth, you get income, and you get quarterly cash flow you can reinvest or spend. ETF number 3, FHLC, the Recession Shield. Now let's talk about the defensive player on this team. FHLC is the Fidelity MSCI Healthcare Index ETF, and this is your insurance policy against market chaos. Since its inception in 2013, FHLC has delivered an average annual return of 10.94%. That's solid, steady growth. A $10,000 investment held since 2013 would be worth approximately $38,120 today. Not explosive, but consistent and reliable. But here's where FHLC really proves its value. During the 2022 bear market, when the S&P 500 dropped 18%, FHLC only fell 5.88%. While growth stocks were getting crushed, healthcare held its ground. Why? Because people still need medicine when the economy tanks. They still go to the doctor. Hospitals don't shut down during recessions. Healthcare is what we call a defensive sector. It's recession resistant. FHLC holds over 334 healthcare stocks across pharmaceuticals, biotech, medical devices, and healthcare providers. You're getting diversified exposure to the entire healthcare industry, and you're paying only 0.08% in fees. That's $8 per year on a $10,000 investment. This ETF is perfect for anyone who's closer to retirement or just wants to sleep better at night, knowing their portfolio can weather a storm. It's not going to make you rich overnight, but it's going to protect your wealth when everything else is falling apart. Now, here's why these three work together. Here's the beautiful part. You don't have to choose just one. These three ETFs are designed to work together. FTEC gives you explosive growth. FDVV gives you income and steady appreciation. FHLC gives you stability and protection. This is how you build a complete portfolio that works in bull markets, bear markets, and everything in between. So now you know the three ETFs. The question is, how do you actually use them? The answer depends on your age and where you're at in your investing journey. Let me break it down. If you're between 20 and 35 years old, you want to maximize growth. You've got time on your side, so lean heavily into FTEC. I'd suggest 70% FTEC, 20% FHLC, and 10% FDVV. You're prioritizing explosive growth with tech, adding some defensive protection with healthcare, and getting a small taste of dividend income to understand how it works. If you're between 35 and 50, you're in the balance phase. You still want growth, but you're also thinking about income and stability. Try 50% FTEC, 30% FDVV, and 20% FHLC. You're still capturing strong tech gains, but now you're generating meaningful dividend income and building more downside protection. If you're between 50 and 60, income and stability become the priority. Shift to 30% FTEC, 40% FDVV, and 30% FHLC. You're still participating in growth, but now dividends and recession protection are doing the heavy lifting. Your portfolio can handle market volatility without derailing your retirement plans. If you're 60 and older, preservation and income are everything. Go 20% FTEC, 50% FDVV, and 30% FHLC. You're generating strong dividend income, staying heavily defensive with healthcare, and keeping just enough tech exposure to benefit from long-term growth without taking excessive risk. These aren't rigid rules. Adjust based on your personal situation, risk tolerance, and financial goals. But this gives you a framework to think about how to build a complete portfolio using these three ETFs. Now, I need to say this clearly. I'm not a financial advisor, and this is not financial advice. Do your own research. Talk to a professional if you need to, and make sure any investment decision fits your personal situation. If you found this breakdown helpful, hit that like button and subscribe for more investing strategies that go beyond the basics. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.